The man, the myth, the legend. Jake Crain from Crain & Company is our guest. Dude, what's happening?
Man, first off, Tyler Alexander song, absolute banger. Absolute banger. Number two, I'm so excited to be here on game week. I know we got an appetizer last week. I loved it. I was all over the Jacksonville State UTEP under.
Me too.
Nailed it. All over the San Diego State, Ohio under. Nailed it. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, but it doesn't matter. All right. The appetizer was great. We love the corn nuggets. The oysters were fantastic. Yeah, we went raw. This is America. I'm an American. But now we get the entree, and we're going to be live streaming the Florida State LSU game on Sunday. We've already got chicken dip lined up, barbecue chicken sliders, pigs in a blanket, rotel dip. Please pour it all over me. I love it.
I did sprinkle. I did sprinkle. I saw you say Michigan. I got off your show that morning and went and placed my bet.
Yeah, it's a J.G. Wentworth situation. You want your money and you want it now. You go throw it on Michigan. I'm telling you. And the worst part is, listen, I'll tell you guys, I hadn't beaten LSU in the Natty. I'm sorry, not sorry. But that's how much I think of LSU. But I do think Michigan wins it. But I tell you what, man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that game on Sunday. Biggest pick'em there is. Biggest pick'em there is, in my opinion. I know we're going to get into it, Blake. I know you're in another dimension right now. I'm going to come save you. You're Matthew McConaughey behind the bookshelf. Just push on a few of them. I'll find you. But at the end of the day, man, I'm just so glad it's here. It's the best time of year. The air's better. The sun's shining brighter. My wife's cooking dinner down there. I'm going down there. I'm just going to destroy it the minute I get done with this. But I'm super duper excited.
Dude, she made Crunchwrap Supremes.
Oh, Blake, I'll get emotional on here. You know I will. Not only that, she made chicken Parmesan sliders last night. I'll go to jail for those. I'll take a charge for those. I'll go play for Coach Musselman and take a charge for those.
Well, listen, don't be like Eric Gilbert, okay?
Dude, how many chances? I know he's got mental health problems, but dude, you see the video?
I did.
The alleged video?
It was him.
Bro, you're gone. See ya. Bye. What? Dude,
Jake,
what an
that's
idiot.
not a mental health issue. Bro, you've coached a team before. You've been on a team before. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me one of the dudes on his team ain't got a little weed to suffice for him till tomorrow?
Bro, no, you're an idiot. Like that's just the only way I can put it. Like, you know what the saddest part is though, Blake? Do you know how many people would die to have half the talent that Arik has? I mean, look at more dudes got more opportunities than Jordan Belfort, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you blew it, dog.
He did blow it. And he's an immense talent. He could have been one of the top dudes. Highest rated tight end ever. That's all much people thought of me.
It's a waste.
Jake, I got to go. Before we get to your Michigan, your playoff picks, I do got to ask you or get to this with you. I feel some spooky shit's going on in Florida and Utah.
Really? Oh, God. You dude. The spidey senses are tingling over there or what?
Okay, so listen, we're in Louisiana, and I have you on tonight. I saw a gator cross the road. Signs.
Oh, yeah, the signs, man. You got to trust them. Look, you can't go seeking them out, but you got to trust them. There's supposed to be a blue moon or something tomorrow night. I'm still trying to figure that out. But here's what I'll say. I don't even think all the voodoo in Louisiana could help Florida with Graham Mertz at quarterback. I don't know if Harry Potter riding the Nimbus 3000 with a wand in his hand could save Florida with Graham Mertz. And I'll say this. Will Cam Rising play? I don't know. Kyle Whittingham's one of the best ever at keeping secrets. The dude work for the government. But I am hammering Utah -6.5. I'm absolutely hammering it. Here's why. You know this, Blake, better than anybody. You played it. I played it. Been around it. Games won and lost up front.
No doubt.
Utah has a damn good offensive line and defensive line. And with Florida, we know the type of offense. Y'all seen it down there at ULL. Billy running that pistol. The quarterback needs to be able to move. Right. And it's not just keeping the ball in the zone read. It's not just the Q power. It's extending the play inside the pocket and outside the pocket. I don't think Graham Mertz can do that. And I've seen some people say, oh, well, Paul Chris misused Graham Mertz. Yeah, you want to know how he misused him? He played him. That's how he misused him. He played him. You signed him and you played him. And Graham Mertz never done anything wrong to me. But I've watched Graham play. And you know what? Who knows what the hell's really going to happen? But you go to Utah. All right, that elevation's a real thing. It's a real thing. I know the tight end's a little beat up, but that third-string quarterback they have, because the second one went down in the scrimmage, he balled against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. This isn't some dude they got from Bishop Sycamore that lied his way up there in the roster. So I think Utah's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They're going to be able to win third down, and they're at home. And don't forget, Blake, this one's personal. They lost that game last year at the end. Vontrell Miller, absolute monster. Love his game. Picked that ball off in the end zone. This one's personal. All offseason, they've been thinking about it. Cost us. It cost. Imagine if they had won that game and finished the year the way they finished it against USC. Imagine that. So don't take that for granted. And, I mean, half of them are 30 years old anyway. I mean, they're worried about paying a mortgage and electric bill and stuff like that and taking care of kids. They're not out here doing stupid stuff. So I like Utah minus 6.5. Bathe me in it.
You know, it's interesting you said about the altitude and why I just think it's such a massive factor. Portier got knocked out by Gaethje a couple weeks ago, and he was sleeping in some elevation tent. He said, I could have slept in that thing for 4 years. It wouldn't have prepared me.
Blake, it's the same. You remember last year, Utah? They played in elevation. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to be in great shape. Guess what? Elevation is not humidity. They went down there in the swamp. Go back and watch that game. Their DBs are puking up Gatorade halfway through the first quarter. I mean, they were cramping up halfway through the first quarter.
Right.
It's the exact opposite. You can go run in that humidity. You can do all the push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups you want to, but you go up there and that elevation and play, it's different. The air's thinner. Your body, there's no way to get used to it. You go out there for a week, and if you've ever had altitude poisoning in your life, which I have, it's the first time I ever watched the movie Rat Race. They hooked me up to an oxygen machine, like an octogenarian. But you go out there and do it, man. It's different. It's going to have an effect. And Florida's not exactly littered with depth.
Right. They're not. And they have a couple of linemen go down. They're in big trouble.
Justice Boone's out for the year now. They're probably one of their top 2 pass rushers. Without a doubt, one of their top 2 pass rushers. Yeah,
you're probably right. You just talked me off the ledge. The Gator might have been an idiot. All right. Let me ask you this. Is Texas back?
Well, you know, I'm not a trends guy, Blake. Because if trends always stayed the same, nobody would ever get better. Nobody would ever get worse. And I don't look at it from a fan perspective. I don't care what they did in 2011. I don't care. That has no bearing on this team. When I look at Texas and I look at any team, I look at all the factors that go into it. You have an offensive line that should be top 5 in the country. And I know LSU fans in the chat and on the show, they're going to disagree with me. That's fine. I get that. Fans short for fanatical. But I look at facts. I deal in facts. It's a Harvey Specter situation over here. All right. So they have an offensive line should be top 5 in the country. You have a good tight end. I know you lost Bijan Robinson, but Keelan Robinson and those guys, they have backs at Texas. I'm not worried about running backs at Texas.
Right.
You returned 5 out of the top 6 pass catchers, and you added A.D. Mitchell, a guy that's shown you he can do it in the biggest moments at the end. We saw he did at Georgia. And let's face it, Quinn Ewers a good player. Quinn Ewers showed you flashes. It's time for him to take that jump, but under Sark, I think he will take that jump. Biggest question, Sark, and I think he's got all the tools around him and that defense. I do think Texas doesn't need to have the steel curtain. They don't need to have the greatest defense in the country. They just need to be a top 30, top 35 defense. I like what they did in the transfer portal. I think their front seven is going to be physical. I think their front seven's deep. I got Texas running the table all the way through the Big 12 championship game and losing to, wait for it, LSU in the college football playoff.
So I saw when you did your playoff and then y'all did y'all's conference picks, Jake, the crazy thing is nobody in that conference except Oklahoma is projected to have 6.5 wins plus.
It's nuts. I got Texas Tech playing Texas. I got Oklahoma going 10-2, and Texas Tech. Shout out to Joey McGuire playing Texas and losing in the Big 12 championship. I got Texas Tech beating Oregon week 2 at home. Remember I said that. Tyler Shuck's a hell of a player. He got hers last year. Texas Tech returns 10 starters on offense, 9 on defense. They've recruited really well. They were spotty in the portal where they needed to be spotty because you don't want to build the ship out of the portal. You just want to plug holes in the ship with it. And that's what they did. They run a different style of offense. You look at that schedule, Texas Tech, man, they're scary.
I like McGuire a lot, and I did think that they would be. If there's any TCU team, I agree with you on that. It could be them from last year. Like
they're nasty, man.
They're nasty.
If Shuck stays healthy, their backup left and went to Houston, the Donovan Smith kid. But I'm telling you, I love Joey McGuire and Jeff Traylor, two high school legends that are doing their thing. And there's a hell of a matchup with Jeff Traylor and UTSA in Houston week 1. That's a big one for Ernie McCracken, a.k.a. Dana Holgerson. See his hair? Their hair's always the same, like halfway through the third quarter.
You ever seen I'm sure you've watched this. Have you watched Game of Thrones?
Are you kidding me?
Okay. You remember the guy that used to light his sword on fire and he was balding, but he had like the ponytail?
Yes.
That's Dana Holgerson, man. That's his twin brother.
Blake, you're right.
That's his twin.
God. Dude, typically I'm the one that make these connections.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. I did not. That is him.
Sword,
That's 100%.
Fire, Holgerson. They might win the Big 12.
Look, you give him a flaming sword. I mean, we got a flaming dragon, but we have a flaming sword.
Dude, I love that. What happened to my man's foot? What happened to Blaine's ankle?
Oh, it's his Achilles. He
Oh,
snapped it like a fat kid on a swing set. He was playing flag football. No, I want to tell this story. He was playing flag football, coming off the line halfway through the second quarter. Been roasting this kid, just roasting him. I mean, Blaine's 6'4", and he's not the fastest. He's a possession guy. He's like that guy at BYU. You're like, oh my God, this white dude out wide's making all these plays. He runs 4.7. And then he said he just stepped off the line and snapped it. And all of a sudden, I'm having dinner with my wife on date night, one of the few we get, and I get a call from Blaine, and he's like, hey, my Achilles, I snapped it. West Park, Nashville, come get me. So I go get him. And he was hurting so bad, man. He was making like Native American chants in the back of the car because he was hurting so bad, dude. It's tough. Tough look.
Well, I do hate that. I just thought like maybe he rolled it. I didn't know he tore his Achilles.
No, he tore his Achilles. He snapped it. He's he's been going around in a scooter. I mean, he's got to like drive those things at Publix now.
Kobe tore his, only
dude,
great
it's
athletes
the worst, man. The worst.
You do have Michigan in your playoff. Mm-hmm. Want to talk me through that? Because I agree. I do. There's a lot of things that you and I agree on. That O-line is going to carry the shit out of them. They have two good backs and McCarthy back, dude. They could be deadly.
I think up front, pound for pound, Michigan's got the best offensive line in the country. Right, Georgia's right there with them. But they got 7 of them. Like at SEC Media Days, we were talking to a scout that's like, look, there are 7 offensive linemen that could get drafted from Michigan off this team. 7. Right? J.J. McCarthy didn't have to be Drew Brees or Dan Marino. They got enough talent outside. We know what they have with Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum in the back. Tight end's always going to be fine at Michigan. They're going to have some big white dude that's pissed off making plays the whole time. Then that defense, that front 7 is going to be physical. They should be better at linebacker than they have been in a while. And you look at that schedule, you get Ohio State at home. Right? You do play Penn State on the road. That's going to be the one you're really going to have to get through. But listen, I'll tell you this too, Blake. I got Wisconsin playing Michigan. I got Wisconsin beating Ohio State at home. Don't fall for this Ohio State trap. Don't fall for it. I'm telling you right now, Ohio State is going to lose at Notre Dame too. They're going to lose at Notre Dame. Remember I said, no, they're going to lose at Notre Dame. Remember I came on here and said that they're going to lose at Notre Dame. Ohio State's going to lose at Wisconsin. They're going to lose to Michigan. And them and Bama are going 9-3.
So let's touch on that. You don't have any – I don't – defensively, they are a mess, I think, in the front 7.
Ohio you talking about Bama?
No, I'm talking about – well, them too. But talking about Ohio State, dude, I don't think that they have – well, the best teams that they played, they gave up 7 yards per carry.
Yeah, and look, they got some guys that can really rush the passer. Ohio State, and you know this, everybody in here knows this. They have great athletes, right? USC has great athletes too on defense. Here's the problem with Ohio State this year. Kyle McCord just got named the starter, right? Not saying that Kyle's is a bad player. Ohio State's had a great run of quarterbacks. I don't think Kyle's going to be CJ, especially early, right? They're not going to really get tested until they go to Notre Dame. But you lost both your tackles and your center, and you're replacing a quarterback. That's a danger. I know Ohio State recruits at a high level. They're going to have some, Siberian cave trolls at tackle again this year. But, it's going to take a little bit of time, and I don't believe in this Kyle McCord kid the way that everybody else does. So I'm telling you right now, Ohio State smells like 9-3. And Luke Fickell in Wisconsin, man, I'm telling Tanner Mordecai, don't think you be crazy. Sprinkle a little bit. Sprinkle just a little bit on him getting to New York. Not winning it. If you're feeling dangerous, do it. But if you're feeling just kind of dangerous, like maybe you want to throw a little Tony Satchers on there or something like that. I don't know if that's disrespect
That's
in the on a Louisiana show.
No.
But I'd throw it on Tanner to get to New York. I like him a lot.
And dude, it's gonna be so weird watching them throw the ball everywhere. It's going to be the weird thing for Wisconsin. Watch them just throw it everywhere with Longo. Want to get to Alabama and Auburn with you. Am I nuts to think that they're going 10-2, Alabama?
No, not at all. I got them going 9-3, and I do want to say this, Josh. No, I'm not kidding, dog. When Notre Dame beats Ohio State, I'm coming back here like Jordan, wearing the 4 or 5, and not to play games with you. I don't kid. I look like the Riddler to you. But anyways, sorry, I digress. I'm not used to being able to see the chat during the show. Blaine handles that, so this is fun for me.
Oh, yes, indeed.
When it comes to Bama, I'll say the same thing I said about Ohio State, but you have even more transition at Bama. You got 2 new coordinators. You're replacing a left tackle and a quarterback for the first time since whenever. I can't remember the last. That typically doesn't happen with Nick Saban. Not only that, you're now having an offensive identity shift back to bully ball. Now, I'm not saying that's stupid, but when Bama was dominating teams with bully ball, they had a monopoly on the offensive line and the defensive line. There was nobody that was even close to Bama up front. When it was 3rd and 1 on the offensive line, and you knew they were running it, I knew they were running it, God knew they were running it. We call them middle finger runs. You couldn't stop it. On defense, They could overwhelm you up front and totally throw you out of your game and make you dribble with your left hand. That's Georgia right now. That's Michigan right now. Not that Bama doesn't have good personnel, but there's some unknowns with Bama. I do think they beat LSU at home, but I got them losing at A&M. I got them losing to Texas at home, and I got them losing the Iron Bowl at Auburn.
Here's a fun stat for you. In the last 20 years, the only SEC teams to go on the road and go undefeated in back-to-back weeks. Last year's Georgia team, 2019 LSU. Bama does that going to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
I think
again, who's the quarterback? Jalen Milroe, I don't think fits that system.
I don't.
Everybody's sitting here talking about Jalen Milroe. That's fine unless he's just totally changed himself as a passer. He's an RPO guy. He's a zone read guy. He's a get in 10 personnel, 11 personnel, split zone, keep it, split zone, split, slip, zone read, Q power, Q counter. He's not a get under center in 12 personnel and run a pro style offense off play action. So then to me, it comes down to Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson. Tyler Buckner, he's got a couple more passes than I do, and half of them went to Marshall's defense. Ty Simpson hasn't thrown one in a game. Now, I'm not saying Bama's going to be bad or the dynasty's dead or any of that stupid stuff. What I'm saying is it's going to take some time, and there's more unknowns with Alabama this year than there was in 2015 when they could run the checkup up front. Everybody in the world now, all of a sudden, leaks from fall camp. Bama's offensive line's great. They're great. So everybody starts picking them, right? Everybody just loses their minds. On game day, everybody picks them. And all these sports media people pick them. And you know what? Who knows? Would we really be shocked if Bama went 12-0?
No, not at all.
No. Would you be shocked if they went 9-3? No. The spectrum of result is wider right now for Alabama than it has been in a long time. So spare me if I don't crown them yet when I look around and see LSU returning 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, including 2 NFL tackles, returning a legit tight end, returning guys at wideout, including Malik Neighbors that are NFL players, adding Logan Diggs to a pretty deep backfield. And, they just made a movie about Harold Perkins. It's called Oppenheimer. Nobody's more explosive than that dude.
All right, I want to get to them one more, though. Very quickly on Auburn. Flipping 5 stars from Georgia and Alabama. Hugh Freeze has got money in the bank, huh? That was massive.
Okay. I cannot remember the last time Auburn flipped. And we're all fans of somebody. You know me. I'm harder on Auburn than anybody. But I've been wanting Hugh Freeze to get the job for 6 years. I haven't seen this in a long time. Auburn's aligned for the first time in a while. Players, fan base, donors, coaches, everybody's aligned. Just go 8-4. That's all I'm asking. Look, Auburn's got money. Gucci Man said it best. It's long money. People don't realize Auburn's got Colonial Bank, dog.
Got white hair on it.
There's some long money in Auburn. I mean, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, Auburn guy. You want to talk about bread? There's some long bread at Auburn. And when they believe in it, they'll spend it. So you just need to go out there and look competent year one, keep the momentum going. I do think they get to 8-4, which would be huge. It would be huge for Auburn. Get to a decent bowl game, put on your dancing shoes, go out there, have a good time, get you a top 10 class. Let's reorganize and regroup.
LSU, Florida State, and you had LSU going to the national title. Jake, I think that this is a playoff type matchup. I do. It's why it scares the shit out of me if I'm an LSU fan to some extent. What do you think about Sunday in LSU overall?
It's like, man, you can't get Arkansas State week 1. I mean, damn. Look at Michigan, right? Look at Bama, Middle Tennessee. Can't get that week 1. Anyways, here's what I'm calling this game, Blake. It is the biggest insurance game of the season. I actually let us show off with this. And what do I mean by that? If you're going to play this game, playing it week 1 is perfect, right? You see some teams that are playing big conference opponent week 1. Screw that. Give me a non-conference team. Because let's say LSU wins it. You just bought yourself a loss at Alabama. So let's say LSU wins this one, goes 11-1, loses at Bama, and let's say they don't win the West, and Bama loses to Georgia and has 2 losses. Well, Florida State has the type of year everybody thinks they're going to have. That's a hell of a loss, and it was week 1. So, I mean, it's a million years ago, and you're going to move up the rankings and move up the rankings and move up the rankings. If you win it and you're LSU, right? Or excuse me, if LSU loses it, you are going to have to thread the needle late. But if you do get there late, and let's say it does come down to 2 losses for you to get in, or you have that one Florida State loss, you run through the SEC, win the SEC championship, it doesn't matter. But if it comes down to it, that Florida State loss, if it is a loss in week 1, which I don't think it is going to be, is a hell of a loss if Florida State does what I think they're going to do this year, which is at worst go 10-2 and play in the ACC championship game against Clemson.
This Brian Kelly thing's working.
Just said it. Stepfather you never knew you needed until all of a sudden he walks in. What does he say? Clean up your room. Stop calling your mom by her first name, right? Treat animals better, you psycho. Like, and all of a sudden you don't realize that you needed them. And you're walking across the stage at Harvard, you know, with getting a job at Pearson-Hardman. That's my second Suits reference. You can tell what I've been watching on Netflix. All right, because all LSU needed, they didn't need some wizard X's and O's guy. They needed, because consistency's been the problem. You won one national championship with a guy that ate grass. You run another one with a guy that smoked it. All you need, the problem for LSU has been consistency. That's it. So you bring in a CEO. He says, listen, here's the structure. We're going to be accountable. You're going to be expected to be on time, be at this place, handle your business, and we're going to turn this thing into a monster because that's what LSU's always been. You've got all the resources. You're Saudi Arabia to oil. You're in a great state for football. You're the state school. The brand goes nuts. Y'all don't just get hot. Y'all get white hot. So all LSU needed was that stepdad to come in and bring some structure to it. Hey, let's go. Stop smoking cigarettes. You're 11.
It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy. And I do agree that, you know, by the way, the Orgeron clip is going on Twitter. It's just letting you know.
Dude,
they're already going to clip it. But it's true. I mean, you finally have competence in the building, and that's what makes a massive, massive difference. Jake, last thing for you, and I'll get you out of here. How long you think Saban, if he does go 9-3, you think he's done, Saban?
Here's the worst part. Probably the best thing for college football for everybody else is for them to go undefeated and win the Natty. Like, I don't see Nick. The only way Nick isn't leaving on 9-3, right? Unless he just realizes, hey, I'm not as effective as what I used to be, and I'm the problem. But I have a hard time believing that Nick Saban is going to look around and say, hey, I'm the problem. There's one person that can end it all. Her name's Terry. Right? They just bought a mansion on an island, which kind of scares me. It scares me when billionaires are trying to leave the planet and Nick Saban's buying stuff on islands, but that's a story for another day. But I don't think Nick Saban is going out on a low note. I don't think so. So he's what? I mean, here's the problem, Blake. If this takes forever, he's going to be there for a while. They may blend him into a robot and have the Sabatron 3000, like some C-3PO looking thing that just screams at Tommy Reese the whole time to make better decisions. While Kevin Steele's just as old as he is, just two robots.
The Steelatron on top of his head.
Yeah, him and the Steelatron and the Sabanatron to be hooked together with some wire, roaming the sidelines. But no, look, I don't think
it's a thing.
Look, it's a look at AI. You think it's a problem now? Just not that forever. Please God, not that forever. But no, I don't think 9-3 leaves. I don't think 9-3 leaves. But because that ESPN deal will be waiting on him for as long as he wants it. So, no, unfortunately not, Blake.
Jay Crain, Crain & Company, thank you so much, buddy, for joining us.
Blake, it's always great. Hope the fam's well. Should be a heck of a year. The game's back. Regardless of all the changes, the on-the-field product is fantastic. And can I throw out a few bets everybody needs to take real quick?
Yes, please.
Hammer the Minnesota-Nebraska under at 43.5. Hammer it. It's supposed to be 30-mile-per-hour winds. All they're going to do is run the ball. Matt Rule, I promise you, he's a defensive guy at heart. He's going to want to run the ball. That game just smells like 17-14 or 20-14. Hammer that under. I don't think you'd be crazy taking North Texas plus 200 at home against Cal with what they have coming back. I know they lost some guys on defense to transfer portal. Those are two to look at. And I do want to say this. We are like 1,000 away from 100,000 subscribers on YouTube on Crain & Company.
Right.
Go subscribe. Some of you I'm sure have never heard about me. Where have you been? Walk outside. We do a live show every weekday morning from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. Live calls, live chat, great guests, talking everything. Go subscribe. I want to get to 100,000. Reed's over here. She says, "What's up, Blake?"
What's up, Reed? Congratulations on the wedding.
He said, "Congratulations on the wedding."
Thank you.
Which means